one question I have for you is the H1B visa situation that we read in the paper with respect to Trump tightening up. Do you have any feedback on that? That you see any differences happening, at least from a recruiting perspective in McKinsey or other friends that you have in the industry? And do you have you seen any changes?
So a couple of points. So the changes I've seen is since the last 1 year, the job scene has become better, in my opinion. I think there are more jobs that are being created. I think more people are optimistic about the economy and more people want to hire and grow their companies. So that's a good thing. The US is growing at 3% this year. They're probably going to grow 4% next year. Who knows? The flip side to that is so companies are a bit skeptical about hiring people on H1. When I say companies, I'm not referring to MBB because those are just 3 companies in the entire world. I'm talking to, generally speaking, across the industry, not just consulting. Companies might be a bit skeptical to hire people because they know the H1B situation and the current administration, it becomes a bit volatile, so they might not take a risk on you. That being said, I don't think any of my friends are working in the industry right now. Their companies have told them that they aren't going to sponsor their H1. They had an understanding with those companies. Those companies are trying their level best to make sure that you get an H1 and they try to sponsor you. And most companies in the US that you work for, if you set the terms and conditions before you accept the job, that hey, within the first year or within the first 2 years, if I do a good job, can you sponsor me for an H1? They will do it. If you have an understanding with them. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. So I would say, long story short, I would say is that keep your head down. Make sure you find the right companies who are willing to invest in you, whether it be H1, so on and so forth. And just make sure that you're worth their time and try to tell them that you won't leave for 2 years or 3 years if you're trying to convince them to sponsor an H1.
Any other advice you want to give these guys?
Generally speaking, I would say the people who I've seen who've had the most success professionally and socially in the US are people who adapt. The reason why the US has been so successful is because it can assimilate immigrants from such varied backgrounds all across the world. And the reason why humans on top of the apex is not because we're the strongest or the smartest. We're there because we're the most adaptable. So adapt to your host country, socially and professionally. See how Americans are dressed. Try to imitate that. See how they interact with each other. Try to follow something similar to that. Have an open mind. Do not stick with just Indian groups. And I know people find it comfortable, and a lot of my friends end up doing that. Even I ended up doing that in the start. But you need to push yourself outside the comfort zone. Go and meet people who aren't like you. Go and take courses that you haven't taken ever before. Go and reach out to people that you would never reached out to before because they're different from you. I was scared I was scared to speak to an American because I was conscious about maybe I have an accent or maybe I look weird. Maybe they want to talk to me. Don't worry about all that. Just go for it and have an open mind as well. It's pretty much that. Have an open mind and assimilate yourself.
I think that's great words of advice because I think that's one of the things that students have to realize, that you're going to a new environment, learn how to adapt. That's key to success.